Hey there. So, if you are here, that means you are here because of Winter Break Jam, or because you just want to use this video to look up how to set up Android development support on Unity. Either way, cool beans. I'm glad to have you here. So, we're going to open up the Unity Hub. So, I don't know if you remember, but when you were installing Unity, you had options to install modules that would do different support, like Windows support, Microsoft support, um, Linux support, Mac OS support, so on and so forth. That's where the Android support also is located. If you didn't install one of those modules when you installed Unity, it's not that big of a deal, you'll be fine. So all you gotta do is go to installs, and it'll show you like a list of installations of Unity you have on your machine. Underneath each one, it'll show you different build supports that you have currently installed. As you can see, I have Windows, I have WebGL, I have with the Universal Windows Platform, Linux, and I have Android build support. So if you don't have Android build support, what you'll do is go to over here, add modules, and you'll have a nice big list of all the fun stuff you can have installed. I already have Android build support installed. I only have Android SDK and NDK tools. There's also OpenJDK, which if you want to install it, feel free. If you want to know what that's about, you can look up the Unity documentation. All you gotta do is search up Unity documentation manual, and you'll have a whole fun window of stuff to look at. For example, I'm actually having it open right now. One second. So, if you open up the Unity documentation manual, it'll have documentation for literally everything Unity has. And if you just extend, all that fun stuff, you'll have everything you need here. So if you have any questions that I haven't addressed in this video, you can always refer to over here. I'm gonna close that for now. So if you don't already have the Android build support module installed, install that and pause this video here. I'm just gonna keep kind of going on forward for this. So you're gonna go to your projects and you're gonna start a new project. Personally, I started in 3D and new project, name it wherever. I already started a blank project over here, so I'm gonna click on that. Here we go. So let me just dock the game window over here. I had it set a certain type of way for another project. Alright, we're not gonna do that. Alright, so you have your blank Unity scene, all fine and dandy. So if anything, you can go to File and Build Settings. It's also off screen. So over here, if you haven't already built Unity for certain applications before, usually you'll have you can do add open scenes. So one thing to keep track of when you're developing for Android, let's say if you only want one scene in your build out of a bunch of them, you're gonna have to uncheck other ones. If you want them all in there, you can just add add all the scenes. It's fine. So over here, we're gonna go to Android, and we're going to switch to platform. Might take a hot second for the scripts to compile. Not a big deal. I might cut the video in some places just to kind of skip over any of the long waiting parts, so don't freak out if I am suddenly done and ready to go. There we go. So, once you're done here, it should be ready to build for Android. As you see, you have different options over here. In player settings, you have additional options, like you can name your product name, you can make an own custom icon for so when you build onto your phone, you can choose what icon shows up as a representation of your app. By default, it'll just be a Unity icon. So you can have different resolutions. So if you want your orientation to rotate with your phone, you can do that. If you want it to lock in a certain way, you have different ways that you can lock the orientation. Just so you know, when it says landscape right and landscape left, essentially what it means is it'll be based on which direction that your home button's facing. So landscape right means that your home button's facing to your right. Landscape left means your home button's facing to your left. And for your splash image, that's just when your app is loading up, it'll be a splash image that usually says Unity. You can't get rid of that on the student license. You actually have to have a paid license to kind of get rid of that, but that is all fine and dandy. And as you can see, you have a lot of other different options in your project settings to go through if you want to really fine tune what you want in your app. I'm not going to go over all of this. I just kind of went over only what was needed for Android support. I'm going to close that. Alright, so anything else that I will explain to you is mostly on your phone. So as an Android phone, what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to open up the developer mode on your phone. So usually that will be located in your settings. You might have to look up specifically for your phone how to do it, but from my experience for my Android phones, what I've always done is that I've gone to settings and I will go to about phone, and when you find the build number, you'll tap it 7 times and it'll ask you if you want to enable the developer mode. You say yes. Now when that is done, you will plug your phone in. I don't know if you're going to hear it when I plug my phone in. Okay, there we go. Usually your phone will have a drop-down notification that says charging this device via USB. Tap for more options. What you'll do is you'll tap for more options and you'll go to file transfer. You'll enable that, and that means that you can transfer files from your phone, from your computer into your phone. That's basically how you'll be getting all your fun stuff ready. So since this is a blank scene and I personally don't want to put a lot of stuff in here, I'm going to open up another project that I've been working on real quick just so I can show you real content. I might just cut straight to that, so don't freak out again if it just automatically cuts. Alright, so here we are in my personal project. I'm only using this because I actually have content that I'm actually making specifically for Android in here, so I actually have something to show you visually. So once you are nice and dandy with what you want to look at, or if you just want to run a test build on your phone to see what it looks like or how it's running, what you're going to do is you're going to go to File and Build Settings. So if you have everything in your player settings that set up the way that you want, and you have all the scenes that you want to build added, what you're going to go and do is you're going to hit Build and Run. So what happens is that Unity is going to have an APK file. That is the file that needs to be built in order to send a test build to your phone. So typically what good practice is that you're going to make an additional folder in Unity called builds. I already have mine built, I already have mine created rather, in my project. As you can see, I already have a couple APK files in here. So I'm just going to rename this to something else, and we're going to save it. So your first time building an APK file, it might take a little bit of time to build it just because it's Unity's first time building an APK of your specific file. There's nothing really to worry about here. I'm going to be done a little bit faster just because I've already made a couple APKs of my project with very minor edits in between. So don't freak out too much if it's taking a little bit to build. And so what's going to be happening is that once Unity's done building the APK, it will not install the application on your phone. It'll just run it as a testing ground, for example. Um, when you're done with your project, what you're going to want to do is put the APK someplace where you can download it onto your phone. And you're going to download the APK onto your phone and then run it on your phone, and it should install the application onto your phone. You might get a couple warning errors since it's not from Google Play or the Google Store. You can ignore it, it's fine. As long as you know that you're not putting in malware into your phone, then there's really nothing to worry about there. I will add a cut of what my application personally looks like on my phone. So a couple things just to take note of while you're building for Android. If you're going to be doing some particle effects, you might want to be careful and be a little bit wary of how many particles you're spawning at a time, because even though it might run completely fine on your computer, it might not process as well on your phone just because the processors are a little bit different. So just as a few things to be mindful of while you're building your project in Unity for Android. If you want to be using the heavyweight rendering pipeline, unfortunately, Android phones can't support that. It's way too much processing power than the phones are capable of doing right now. So if you try to build for it, your build your build processes are just really going to fail. It's not going to work out. However, the lightweight rendering pipeline does work on mobile. I'm actually using it for this project that I'm currently in, and it works completely fine, and everything looks brilliant, everything's great, all that fun stuff. Um, if there's any packages that are additional dependencies that you're running on your project that you're not too sure will be running well on Android, you can always look through the Unity documentation to see if there's any like beta packages that you might be using that aren't friendly with Android. Um, One thing that's also really nice is that if you have buttons, like how I have buttons over here, woo. So if you have any buttons in your game, you don't have to code any touch inputs for it. So, and Unity already handles it. So as I'll show at the end of this video, my application works just fine. I can punch all the buttons, everything works, everything's dandy. So this is really my first time doing a tutorial like this, so please let me know how I did, and I really hope that this was helpful for you. If there is anything that I didn't explain well enough for you, you can always reach out to me on Discord, or if there's something that I didn't cover, again, you can always reach out, but I also urge you to look at the Unity documentation page, just because they might have better documentation than what I might already know. Um, well, yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you got something out of it. And I hope you have a good time during Winter Jam. Good luck.